Part of NBA content making or basketball or sports content making is also looking at the next generation of stars. Who is going to be next up? And today we have a 2025 NBA mock draft on the day where March Madness begins. The madness starts today. I cannot wait to see what is going to happen. I have a very weird bracket. I have multiple brackets. There's a lot going on. I hope it's a fun ride, but let's go ahead and hop into this mock draft, which I am very, very excited to get into because I feel like this is becoming a better draft class than people thought. Arguably, we'll see how it turns out. But of course, number one overall, no debate, no contest. Cooper Flagg out of Duke is just having one of the best freshman seasons we've ever seen. I really hope he does declare to the draft, because if he doesn't, I'm going to be upset. He's one of the best talents, great offensively, great defensively. I will say he has looked a little iffy in the clutch and he has some moments where he shoots inefficiently, but he's 19 years old. He's going to go to Washington and hopefully he can take it over. If he goes back to college, I would be shocked. It would make a lot of NIL deal, a lot of NIL money to drag him away from the NBA, which is going to be a guaranteed $45-50 million for him. So I do expect him to go to the NBA, even though there's rumors about him returning to college, but Cooper Flagg is just the best player in this draft. At pick number 2, I have the Utah Jazz. I think this is very, very simple for me. I do like Dylan Harper here, but you know, is he really going to be your true point guard, especially with the emergence of Isaiah Collier? I think you could have Isaiah Collier, Keontae George. You really need a forward in here. And as much as I dislike him, Ace Bailey does have good upside, and I think it just makes sense for him to go to Utah. I would love Cooper Flagg in Utah. That would be like my dreamland scenario, is Cooper Flagg ends up in Utah with the number 1 overall pick. They need that kind of all-star high-level prospect, and Cooper Flagg could be that guy. The Charlotte Hornets, there's a lot of ways that the Hornets could go, man. They almost have to go Dylan Harper just based on the fact that he's the best player available. So I'm going to go him because I think that is like your S-tier prospects. Dylan Harper and Cooper Flagg are my only S-tier prospects. I would give Ace Bailey an A. In the eyes of the public, those are your S-tier prospects. You have to go with Dylan Harper. You have to go BPA. It makes sense for the Hornets to go with him here. The New Orleans Pelicans, who have had a very interesting season. Zion looks back. Everyone looks good. You need a guard of some sort, whether that's a point guard, whether that's a shooting guard. I'm going to go with Kasparas Jakusionis, I think, or you could just go with pure offense in Trey Johnson, especially with the recent struggles of Kasparas. You really could go either way. I would not be upset. I'm going to go with Kasparas Jakusionis. DeJounte Murray broke his hand. He tore something, right? TJ McCollum's getting older. Get a guard in there. Get someone who could probably run the 1 guard, maybe even the 2, but he needs the ball in his hands to be able to make an offensive game plan work. He does have a turnover problem. He hasn't looked the best some games for Illinois, but he is a great prospect. He has the size to be a dominant point guard in the NBA. I'm excited to see how he turns out in the NBA. The Philadelphia 76ers, now they are probably going to hit a hard reset. I expect Embiid and Paul George to be traded this offseason. Maybe not Embiid, but for sure Paul George. I think that you could go many different ways, but there's one thing that you need to bring to this NBA team. I think it's excitement. I think it really is excitement. So who here is going to bring excitement to the 76ers? I don't know. Arguably VJ Edgecombe, but I don't know. He's an okay prospect. There's definitely some guys I like more. Based on the fact I think they could trade Joel Embiid, I love the Derek Queen fit here. I think he'd be a phenomenal center in Philly. I'm going to go VJ Edgecombe just for some excitement. I see a better Derek Jones Jr. whenever I watch him. It's Derek Jones Jr. is a good NBA player, so maybe he could be a great NBA player. You never know. Love VJ Edgecombe, high flying, nice excitement. He has a tough game against Mississippi State in the March Madness first round. Hopefully they can win that. I have them winning that game. The Brooklyn Nets with their first pick. I love the VJ Edgecombe fit here, but you need a forward if you're Brooklyn. You can't not address your forward. I'm going to go with Asa Newell, who is super impressive at Georgia, has led them to the tournament. He's been very good as a freshman. He can create his own shot. He can also play some good defense. He'd be very nice in this Brooklyn system, which they'll probably lose Cam Johnson, Bojan Bogdanovic. Keon Johnson's cool. You don't really need him. They just need forward depth. The Toronto Raptors, who are starting to upset me with how much games they're deciding to win. I don't know why they're deciding to win games, but it's honestly upsetting me because I don't want us to win games. I'm going to go with Derek Queen. Jakob Poeltl, he might be traded. I don't know what's going on with Yak, but Derek Queen is a very good center, and every time I watch him, I just fall in love more and more and more. The Miami Heat are in a super interesting situation in which they kind of have their core together, but you need to fill out that power forward spot. The only problem is that there really isn't a power forward for you to take here. You could go for a guy like Trey Johnson, who's pure scoring. You don't need a big man at all, or you could go with a role player in Con Knipple, who could replace Duncan Robinson. You know, he's one of those guys that will literally just be a Duncan Robinson for you. I kind of want to trade this pick. I'm not going to do trades. I'm just going to reach a little bit. I'm going to go with Colin Murray Boyles, who is a very good player. He's a bit older as being a sophomore, but he's a great player. can score, can rebound, would be a nice fit in Miami. I like the fit. I like the player. It just works out. The Chicago Bulls need a lot, man. They need forward help for sure. I'm going to go with Trey Johnson, and I'm going to hopefully play him at small forward or maybe even shooting guard. I don't know what their guard room is going to look like after this year. I mean, you have Giddey, Lonzo, Kobe White, Ayo Dosunmu, all four of those guys. You can't hang on to all four. Trey Johnson, pure offense, pure scoring. It'll more than likely work out for him in the NBA, even if it's just as a pure scorer. The San Antonio Spurs, Con Knipple makes too much sense. You just get a nice role player, 3-and-D guy who can honestly rebound at a high level as well sometimes. He looks like a decent prospect. He's not my favorite prospect, but he is going to go in probably top 12, top 14 in the NBA draft. The Portland Trailblazers, they're really interesting. You have a great core. You have a phenomenal core. Do you just go with BPA? Do you go with a guy with a lot of upside? I'm going to go with Liam McNeely. I think, yeah, I am. Good forward depth. No one knows the future of Jeremy Grant. No one really knows what they're going to do. Avdia, I feel like he could be a trade candidate, even though he's been balling. There's a lot they could do. If worst comes to worst, he's your backup 3, your backup 4. It's a fine pick at pick 11. But now number 12, we get into the worst situation in the NBA with the Dallas Mavericks. They're probably going to run it back with this core. Let's not get it confused. The Mavericks are going to be good next year. I would sit everybody, prepare for next season, and just see what happens. The last thing you need is a big man. I will say, though, Kamen Malawak is very good. I'm going to go with Nolan Traore, however. Defense, playmaking, basketball IQ, that's what Nolan Traore brings to a team. The scoring bag is a little bit undefined, but that's okay. I think he can make a major impact on a lot of different areas on the court. The Houston Rockets are now up with pick 13 due to the Suns' protections on it, and I think this is a very easy pick. Get yourself a backup big man. Kamen Malawak has fallen to 13. Super efficient, great on defense, great pick and roll center, just a big body in the paint. Perfect Steven Adams, Jock Landale replacement, can play backup big next to Sengun. He'll be a great player. He's 7'2", 250, man. That's a crazy size. Next up, we got Atlanta. Atlanta's a really interesting team, like they always are. Jeremiah Fears continues to fall. I feel like you kind of have to go with the forward, though, if you're in Atlanta. You really don't need much if you're in Atlanta as well. I don't know. There's a lot of ways you could go. I'm gonna end up going Jeremiah Fears. Maybe he can run that 6th man off the bench and just be a scoring option. That's what I'm gonna hope he can turn out to be, just your 6th man. It's gonna be interesting though. I feel like you still need to address your forward position, maybe in like free agency. If they trade for a guy like Kevin Durant, I'd love that. Oh my gosh, Kevin Durant on the Hawks would be phenomenal. Next up, the Orlando Magic. You just kind of have to go with either a center or a shooting guard, one or the other. Very simple. And there's a really good shooting guard prospect here, Igor Demon. He has a lot of potential. 6'9", freshman, 19 years old, can shoot the ball, has a decent enough IQ. I wouldn't be shocked if he went back to school for one more year. I'm not gonna lie. Him and AJ DeBonsta could light it up for BYU next year. We'll see how they do in the tournament. But I do also just like him as a prospect. A lot of upside. He could go way earlier than this. I know I've had him inside the top 5 before. As we move past the halfway point in this draft, the San Antonio Spurs are back up. We went with Con Knipple in round 1, pick 10. I really just want to fill this out with just players that Wemby would like, and what better than Noah Essingu out of France. Just a good forward, solid forward prospect. I don't really know much about him, but I know he's French. I know he has length. I know he can handle the ball. I know he's a good IQ. And I also know that Wembanyama would probably like another Frenchman on this team. Let's keep Wemby happy. It also helps with forward depth. I really like it. The Timberwolves are now on the clock. They've been making a bit of a surge. As of late. I would really like to see some defense in the backcourt here. Now, what does that look like? Not a lot. Honestly, it's Cam Jones, who is phenomenal. Cam Jones is such a phenomenal player. I love Cam Jones. I think he goes top 20. And you know what? I'm going to stand on my Cam Jones hype. I love Cam Jones. I love everything he's about. I love his scoring bag. I love everything about it. Cam Jones is that guy. He is very good lefty shot. 6'5", 200, great build for a shooting guard. He can bring a lot to this Timberwolves team. Efficiency, IQ, experience, defense. He's such a good player. I think he was the best player in college basketball this last season. Besides Cooper Flag. The Brooklyn Nets are back up. You kind of just have to go exciting again. You just want to bring some excitement to this team. You want something for people to cheer about. And what's better to cheer about than the son of Josh Richardson, Jace Richardson, who's been doing just fine for Michigan State. Kind of just like a pure scorer, isolation kind of guard. Not really much of a playmaker. I do think he could figure out his playmaking, but I have zero idea, to be honest. I think that his ceiling is very limited. I think he has a nice floor though, and I think he'd be a great addition to any NBA team in the future. The Utah Jazz, I'm not going to overcomplicate things. I still think you either need forward depth or maybe shooting guard. I don't know. But what I do know is that there's a really good senior in Nike Clifford here, and I'm not going to go with him because I want to give a shout out to Carter Bryant, who has a great 3-point shot, but also plays phenomenal defense. He would be a great fit at the small forward position or even off the bench just to rotate in and out, especially after Taylor Hendricks season-ending injury. Don't know what the future will look like for him. We'll see in the future what his role is. The Oklahoma City Thunder. We saw, and I'm going to stand on this to the day I die, when Chet Holmgren and Hartenstein were both hurt, you had no height. Now, I'm not going to go with a pure center. I'm instead going to go with Rasheer Fleming. He brings a 6'9" frame that's 240 pounds. He's a junior, which I do like the Thunder going with older, more experienced prospects, just based on the fact that, hey, maybe it's time that we embrace that. Let's not go with these developmental guys like Nikola Topic. Let's get the older guys in here who can play defense, have a good IQ, know the game of basketball. Let's not wait on a prospect to develop into a top 15 player. Let's get a top 30 player and be happy with it. The Indiana Pacers, this is a one-team need. You need one thing if you're the Pacers, and that is defense. There hasn't been a better on-ball defender, arguably in the NCAA season, than Drake Powell. He has a great 3-point shot that can be worked on. He is also very efficient from 2 overall, but on-ball, off-ball defense is the name of Drake Powell. He will bring much needed defense to this Indiana team. I think he'll test insane. He's a phenomenal player. The Miami Heat are back up again. We went with Colin Murray Boyles earlier. I think you could go with a point guard here. I do like Boogie Farland out of Arkansas. I don't think he brings you much defensively, but offensively he can create, he can score. A little inefficient, but we've seen inefficiency before from guys like LaMelo Ball, etc. Just, they'll figure it out. He may be like a 43% shooter in his career, but that's still better than 39. The Washington Wizards are back up for their final pick. Of course, we went with Cooper Flagg earlier, and I still think that there's a lot you have to address inside. I think there's a chance that you could play Cooper Flagg at the 3, maybe. I don't know. I want to get more of a pure playmaker in here, a guy who can really just run the offense. LeBaron Philon could be that guy. I don't really know, but I'm going to go with something else. Danny Wolf runs point guard for Michigan and is a very good interior player. We know that they struggle when they get these good big men on them. I feel like Alex Sarr is such an underwhelming player defensively. Just bring in this tall center who can operate with the ball in his hands and create. Danny Wolf is a phenomenal player with a very high floor, and I think he's going to be a good NBA player day in, day out. The Orlando Magic are back up now, and honestly, I'm going to go with Thomas Sorber. He fell here. He got a season-ending injury. I doubt he goes back to school, though. He's going to get first-round pick money. He's going to be fine. Good center. Overall, offense, rebounding, defense, just what you want from a guy who can stick in your paint and just work. Put in those working hours. Brooklyn Nets back up. We're looking for more excitement still. You want to bring people in that want to go to net, that want to watch the Nets play. What can you bring in that'll make people want to watch the Nets? I really think that is the arguably best player in college basketball, Johni Broome. Johni Broome is going to struggle at the NBA level creating his offense. I'm not going to lie. His feet are kind of slow. The rebounding numbers should still be there. I think he could give you like 8 and 5 and 2 a night, but the scoring is not going to be there. He's dominating in college because he's just bigger and experienced. That is what it is. You can't really control that. But I think that the feet will have to become a lot better. I think we also have to go with the big man for the Atlanta Hawks. If there was more time, I'd think about it a different way, but Ryan Kalkbrenner is here. Creighton is currently putting BTA on Louisville. Ryan Kalkbrenner is a very good center. It operates inside, has been the vocal point of this offense for a long time, and would be a great backup in Atlanta. I almost went with JT Toppin because you don't, I guess, particularly need to go with a true center, but I do believe that you need some sort of height. With Clint Capella leaving, Larry Nance Jr. is nothing. What do you have at backup? The Brooklyn Nets, again, I could say this over and over again. Excitement, excitement, excitement. Who's going to raise the roof in there? I think what better than JT Toppin? High-flying, scoring power forward with great rebounding upside. He's been phenomenal this year for Texas Tech, who has kind of a tough road in March Madness. You never know, I guess. Great offensively. Solid defensively, but definitely nothing crazily special. I still like his potential for the future, though, however. The Boston Celtics, there's a lot of places you could go. I think you just go with what gives you the best depth and who's going to be the best player day one. Nikkei Clifford is very good. The shooting guard who averages 19, 10, and 4 on 50% shooting has a great game coming up against Memphis, in which I think he will show up and shine out. He is a phenomenal scorer, a great rebounder, and a decent defender, and has willed Colorado State to the tournament where I expect a first-round upset against Memphis. They are better in the KenPom rankings. I'd be shocked, honestly, if it wasn't at least a close game. At number 29, you have the Phoenix Suns. They just need anything. I want to bet on upside with them, kind of, so I'm going to go with Ian Jackson because I guess, scoring, playmaking, ball handling, you never know. I kind of expect him to go back to school, however. We'll see, maybe even a transfer for him, but he at least brings you something to look forward to, a scoring bag that maybe you can look forward to, maybe see some bright spots in the future. I have no idea. And then finally, to end it all off, you have the LA Clippers, which is fine. They could just use BPA as well. Maybe a forward. I wouldn't mind a forward. I'm going to go with Abdou Diallo. Big game against Kansas. He's kind of fallen off, but he's still really good junior, so he has experience. I like it. I like it all around. But yeah, I messed it up. I accidentally did a 2-round mock, so no picture at the end. But I appreciate you guys for watching as always. Like and sub for more, and yeah, let's go.